Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Into the summer mode now, so I've unwired the heater. That gets put away now till, well, end of October, something like that, once the nights start getting cooler. So that's out the way now. I don't have to keep moving that around between the day and the nights. And the two large circulating fans are now effectively fully manual. Well, I am thinking this year I could do a change. This thermostat that runs the heater can be switched between heat and cooling, yeah. So it just works opposite basically. So I could actually wire both of these circulating fans into that, change it to cooling and set it to about 22, 23 degrees. That way the fans become fully automatic. As soon as the temperature gets up to that point, they will automatically switch on, which means that they're totally independent of me pressing the on switch, which is how they are now. So I'll have a think about that. I haven't done that before, but you know, on days when I'm away and I have to leave early in the morning, I have to make a calculated guess. Do I need the big circulating fans? Is it going to get warm or is it not? You know, I have to make that decision early in the day, and if I'm away right into the evening, the fans are on, you know, long after the temperature drops, which is not ideal. So I might automate them as well, and that would make everything automatic in here, apart from having to fill the foggers up every day at the moment. So yeah, a few changes, and I've got my new table. Well, second hand, not new. Cost a £5. And the benefit of this is I think I can water standing straight without bending. Now that's going to save, because it's a halfway bend. I'm alright bending over and I'm alright standing up, but it's when you have to hover partly bent, you know, so hopefully that extra height will be good. And now I've got somewhere to plonk plants after I've watered them. You know, I mean, I do use this area down here as well, but it depends, you know, which shelf I'm dealing with. A lot of the time, most of the plants will fit on there, the smaller ones, in one go. And again, that saves bending all down there to put them down and pick them up again. So, a little bit of extra niceties. Now, all I'm actually doing out here today, I'm out for the day today, but it's not like an early start or anything, so I'm just going to water my mounts. And yeah, I can see some pots drying out in the mustn't dry out area, so I think I'll just go round with the sprayer just to tide them over till tomorrow when I've got a full day uninterrupted in here to catch up. People are worrying because I always say, like, you know, oh, this is only a quick video and things like that. I've got other stuff to do. Why don't I just get on and do that other stuff and forget out here? You know, well, I can't forget out here. The thing I could forget is filming, but quite honestly the filming does not take long. Out of a whole day, a 30-minute video takes 30 minutes. You know, the filming bit is not a big deal. It's trying to find something to film that's different from yesterday or the day before or whatever. So yeah, I have a lot of other things going on. I mean, today it's my daughter's appointment with her cardiac consultant, and I don't ever knock our NHS. The doctors and the nurses and the people, the workforce, are absolutely brilliant, but I will have a real go at the administrators, the people who keep it running or don't. It's taken nearly a year to get this appointment sorted out from a mess up on their part in the first place. Basically, her cardiac consultant, one of the top guys in the country, because she is unusual to say the least as far as her heart's concerned, and following on from her surgery you automatically get a 6-week appointment, which we went, and her cardiac consultant was off. He'd had an operation himself, so he was still off sick effectively, so she could only see what's called a Gucci nurse. And after all the sort of scans and everything like that, the Gucci nurse said, well, I'm sorry, I'm not qualified to make any diagnosis. So that appointment was a waste of time. Total waste of time. And now it's taken a year to get this sorted. 27 phone calls and 3.5 hours worth of waiting on the phone trying to get somebody to accept responsibility on the grounds that the word had gone round that a cardiac consultant had retired ill and was not coming back. So when she phoned up to get an appointment, she couldn't have one because she wasn't with a cardiac consultant. You know, they say, well, who are you with now? Well, I'm not with anybody at the moment. Oh, well, we won't be able to deal with that then. I'll put you through to somebody who can deal with it. And then the phone just rings and doesn't get answered. So you try again later. And it went on and on until eventually the last phone call, which was literally only about 4 weeks ago, a guy picked up the phone and said, hello, how can I help you? My name is blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I can sort that out for you if you just hold a minute. And 3 minutes on that phone, first of all, we established her cardiac consultant hasn't retired. He's back at work and has been for some considerable time. Every time she phoned up and she said, that's the problem, my cardiac consultant's retired, nobody said, no, he hasn't. You know, what sort of place is this? So anyway, she's back with her proper cardiac consultant. The guy made an appointment there and then. A letter was sent to confirm it, and we're off there today for our first appointment in a year after absolute serious major surgery. And I'm appalled. And it's not the doctors and the nurses, it's not them, it's them people sat at the desk, the front desk, the people you have to get past to see a proper person. And they just can't be bothered. You know, they're too busy filing their nails. Anyway, enough of my rant. We have the appointment and that's what we're off to do today. So it's a long trip for me. I've got to go and pick my daughter up where she lives, and then we're off to Bristol to the hospital, get the appointment done, and then on my way back. And the other hassle I've been having is when I went to pick my daughter up at the weekend, you'll like this, there was a sound on the dual carriageway. There's only one little bit of dual carriageway on the trip up to her, and it's only about 5 miles long, that's it, and then it's just little roads after that. And there was a sort of noise on the car that it didn't seem that bad or anything like that. It didn't seem untoward. The car seemed to be driving okay, so I wasn't particularly worried. And anyway, got to her place, about 20, that's after a long run, yeah? That's important. So after about 20 minutes, we went and got in the car, put her stuff in, pulled round the corner, put my foot on the brake, and it went down to the floor. I had no brakes at all. Now, I've been around cars long enough, so I stamped my foot up and down on the brake pedal, and up came the pressure, and we had brakes again. Well, I had to drop her at a chemist to get a prescription, and while she was in there, I thought I'm going to have a look round at the wheels to see if I've got a fluid leak, because loss of brake pressure normally means your fluid's leaking out. So I went round the wheels, looked at the front one on one side, then the two back ones, and when I got to the other front one, as I leant down to I touched the wheel and it practically took the skin off my hand. It was red hot. So the brake caliper was jammed on. So that brake on that wheel was like permanently on. And the heat generated had effectively boiled the fluid. You know, so it's full of bubbles. So it didn't work. But the reason it got as bad as that was because after the long run, obviously everything had heated up, and then I'd stopped and all that heat had dissipated into every surrounding area. But anyway, we drove home okay on the grounds that the air's helping to cool it as you're driving along, you know. So we got home okay, and because of this, you know, this appointment, which is very difficult for her to do on public transport, and I'd promised to give her a lift, I took the car back to the garage yesterday and I said, I've got a brake caliper frozen on, and I really need transport, so can I borrow the courtesy car? And he said, for the first time ever, somebody else has got it. I thought, you know, they say everything comes in threes. Well, in my case lately, I think it's in sixes. So anyway, I said, well, obviously the courtesy car's out then. Can you see if you can fix this? You know, because I said I've got something else important on Saturday that I need transport for. And he said, well, hang on, let me do some phone calls. So he managed to find the part. So obviously I had to have a new set of brake pads as well, because the pads on that side were fried. You know, so they just go rock hard and don't work anymore if they get hot. Anyway, he found the part, and I took the car down in the afternoon. The part was supposed to arrive at 2 o'clock, and it didn't. It didn't arrive till 4:30. And I thought, oh hell, he's not going to have time to do that today. Anyway, that car flew up on the ramp, wheels flying everywhere, banging and clanking and this, that and the other, and he got it all done. You know, took it out for a road test and everything, so the car's actually fine now. And we had a chat about this, you know, the age-old problem, not starting when it's cold and having to get a hairdryer on it, which is quite comical, but a pain, but doable. And this puts the mockers on my field trips. You know, because if I go out for the day, yes, I can get it started here, but what happens when I come back at the end of the day and my car's parked on the edge of a wood or something? Where am I going to plug my hairdryer in? So, you know, I had a chat with him, and he said, quite honestly, the best thing you can do is put it in part exchange and just get rid of it. And I said, well, what about all the money I owe you? Because you've done so many hours and so much work on this car. And he wouldn't take any money until he'd fixed it. You know, he's a good guy. He said, you brought it in here with a starting problem and I haven't fixed it, so I'm not taking any money off of you. So what we agreed was I would pay for the parts that he'd bought. He'd replace one of the coils and put a new set of spark plugs in, and he charged me no labour at all for all that work and effort that he's done. But it clears him of the car. He will never see it again now. And once I get this week over, next week I'm going to look at getting rid of that car and getting another one. I mean, I've always liked a powerful, comfy car, but I hardly ever use my car anymore. It's silly. It's sitting out there, you know, with an amount of money tied up in it and not getting used. Now, obviously, there's some days I don't use it. I put it off because it's raining and I don't want to start the car in the rain with my hairdryer. But yeah, I'm just going to get a smaller run-around car. And the odd long journey I do, okay, it won't be quite as comfy, but so what? You know, so I'll be changing cars next week. I'll have a look round, see what's about. I've got some ideas of what I would like, and either sell this one privately as a separate issue, you know, because I mean that's how people do it, and go and buy one from somewhere else, or you know, find a car dealer and put it in part exchange if I can get a reasonable amount for it. And we'll go from there. So we'll have another car down the line. Anyway, that's the sort of thing that's been going on. Worries in my mind, things going on, things to do. And nearly finished now. Get today out of the way, get this hospital appointment done, get my talk done on Saturday, and then I'm just back to normal again. Boring. Just sitting around thinking, what am I going to do now then? Well, that reminds me, what was that from? Oh, Jungle Book, wasn't it? It was the vultures sat in the tree. What we going to do then? I don't know. What do you want to do? Every time I say, what are we going to do? You say, I don't know. What do you want to do? So what are we going to do then? I don't know. What do you want to do? Just a thing from a distant memory of about 40 years ago, I should think. But anyway, that's what's been going on. Things playing on my mind. Boilers breaking down. Cars not right, you know, hospitals and problems in that area and all that stuff like that. So that's all it is. As I say, most of the time my private life is exactly that. But just an explanation of why I seem to have been in a bit of a hurry lately. And yeah, so rearranging this lot for the summer. So get rid of the heater, new table in, hopefully not so much bending around, and the hot weather's over now. We still might get some sunny spells, but there's some rain on the way as well, which will be good for the garden. But the heat has gone. You know, yesterday really was the last day. The temperatures are dropping down now, so this will be easier to manage out here. I mean, over recent days, I've damped this floor down, chucked water all over this floor 5 times in a day. Luckily, the foggers last one whole day. So I can fill them up in the morning and then they do the day, you know. But right into the evening, you know, the heat's still here, 8, 9 o'clock at night. And I mean, we're up to, we're up to over 15-hour days now, and by the end of this month, we'll be up to 16-hour days. You know, this is my peak growing time now, and I need to be on top of watering and feeding this time of year. This is the grow time, you know, this is not a time to go round with a little trickle of water. This is the time to get stuff going. So I'll be back on track soon. Well, tomorrow really. And yeah, I'll keep you posted. There's no new blooms out at the moment, but the Shelob Tolkien's probably going to be the next thing to open. out of the queue. That dendrobium up near the window, all those buds there, they're nowhere near big enough yet. Those blooms are a reasonable size, so those buds have got a bit of growing to do yet. But on this spike, the first one that will open, the other two up the back are pushing on as well. This is going to be the first one to open, and quite honestly that may well be the next orchid to open out of what's sitting around. I keep my eye on things, you know, there's things pushing on. But the Shelob Tolkien's probably going to be next. I expect that's blurry now I've moved it. And that Dendrobium nobile type knot, wedding bells, that won't be far behind. Those buds are starting to swell now. But that has bloomed for me before and I didn't get a picture. So I can't remember how big the blooms are. I can't really remember what they look like because it was a while ago. But, you know, they're coming on. They'll be there soon. And the other one that's not far off is the Odontoglossum species, the Naevium. These buds are starting to swell now on two of the spikes, and the other two spikes are pushing on nicely. Good number of blooms on the spikes this time. I think I only had 4 or 5 last time. We've got a good number this time. So that's going to look good. This is one plant where, with future spikes, I'm actually going to stake them upright. Because the blooms on the spikes are quite close together. Well, when they're over sideways, you've got sort of half of them facing away from you and half of them facing forward. And with 4 spikes on the plant, I'm going to end up with about half of my blooms that have got their back to me, if you see what I mean. So I think on this plant in future I'm going to get these. It's too late now. If I put these up right now, the flowers will open sideways. They won't be upright because they've already set their aspect. So I won't do it this time. But next time round we'll have a go at that. Something that is a trifle worrying, looking at other people, this Cymbidium, unless that is... Oh, at last. I was just going to say, this Cymbidium that actually needs to go outside now. It doesn't need to be in here anymore. We're not having cold nights anymore. I was just going to say, you know, it bloomed for ages, but it hasn't got any new growth. But it has. There's one. Well, one I can see at the moment. Anyway, that needs to go back outside, out with the bonsai. Well, it gets morning sun, and then it gets shade from the hottest part of the day sort of thing, and the rest of the day. That's where it lived last year, and it bloomed on one single new growth last year, so don't see any reason for that to change. It gets rained on, you know, gets the cooler nights and the warmer days, and it gets left out there really until the nights start getting a bit iffy, you know, heading down too close to the 0 point, and then it starts coming in. But it can go outside again now. Get rid of that out of my way. Another big pot out. These buds are pushing on nicely now, but these do grow at a colossal rate. This is was this out of the big box? Oh, I can't remember. But this has got several buds somewhere. There's another big one somewhere. Oh, too early in the day to find things like that. But that one's pushing on well. There is another one lurking in there somewhere, I'm sure there is. In fact, I think there's another 2. But these grow at a phenomenal rate. I mean, if you take today is Wednesday, you know, this will probably have buds showing soon. And I mean, these are long, you know, long pendulous ones with multiple blooms on. So, but they do grow at quite a rate. So that'll be open soon. That's well, it's actually Griffithianum crossed with Farmeri, but it has actually got a name. It's Memoria Christa Erdmann, says there. But it's the, I'm pretty certain now I've got the same plant, because my one up the back there that hasn't long gone out of bloom, that on the tag just said Farmeri crossed with Griffithianum. Whereas this one says Griffithianum crossed with Farmeri. Well, if the cross is the other way round, the blooms could be slightly different. They won't be that different though. And yeah, that's about it. I must get on and fill up the foggers and get myself organised, get myself clean and tidy and presentable, and set off up to Bristol. It's a fair old drive as well. Oh, and apparently this should be highly fragrant. And if the sun hits the blooms, it is. So down here in the sort of semi-shade, it's probably not going to perform. I might see if I can get that up somewhere where it might catch a little bit of sun and see if that fragrance does suddenly push out, you know, because it only seems to be slightly fragrant at the moment. So we'll see what we can do with that one. And yeah, so that's what's been going on. And yeah, blooms to come down the line, blooms going. They don't last forever, these don't last long. And that nobly now, that's finished blooming now. The couple of blooms that are left have only got a few days left, and if I catch it soon enough, I can take all those blooms off before they start falling down on the other shelves and in the pots and all over the place like they did last time. It had a massive drop, and then I can tidy that plant up. You know, and actually work out where the new growths are going to come and try and get those to come up round the outside of the plant, take off the canes I don't want and strap these tight upright, because they don't need the space for the blooms anymore. You know, I allowed them to spread to let the blooms show. Well, I can bunch it all up together now and allow the new growths to come out round the outside, ready for next time. So a bit of work to do there. That spike's pushing on nicely. That's one of my wildcats. I think they're on Costelli, although that may have changed. And that's Wildcat Cheetah. And it's one of my favourite blooms. Get rid of fallen leaves while I see them. So there's nothing dead, it's just an old pseudobulb dropping its last leaf. Don't panic. The whole plant's not dying. There are some plants in here that are in that category. I'm not sure they're going to last long, but oh, and the other thing is somebody's been watching my Deesas with great interest. Well, we've got one good spike pushing on. Looks like buds are starting to form, and you can see on the pot full nearest the glass there's two other good spikes pushing on. So there's 3 definites here. There could be more. So we will have Deesa blooms down the line. And I'll leave it at that for now, and as I say, back to some sort of normality tomorrow, and I'll see you then. Thanks for dropping by.